Happy Monday, friends and neighbors. Today, I want to get us back on track to where we were on episode 59, where I talked about housing being the linchpin of success moving forward for the next chapter of the municipal district of St. Stephen. Now, there's a lot of things that are important right now. Some of the top things that I feel like people are prioritizing as I go door to door are the need for more housing. I'm hearing that, and different kinds of housing. Some people say we need more apartments. Some people say we need more affordable housing. Some people say we do need that bridge housing. So there is the sense that housing is a priority. Businesses, we need more business development. We need, maybe another large industry. We've got the flakeboard plant. We've got Ganong. And I know it would be nice to have maybe a third, because like a three-legged stool, you have a little bit more stability if that happens. We want to talk public safety as well. There's a sense that we need more maybe police presence, more patrol presence. These are things that as your mayor, I will lean into with the new council and figure out how to set proposals in motion, put things forward that will improve things in this regard. The good news when it comes to housing and business is we have so many agencies, so many experts, so many people pulling in that direction already that the council really takes the role of understanding the work that is being done with the people whose job it is to think about this kind of thing 40 hours plus a week. And again, get a plan forward, get a horizon forward, get a direction in place that we can not only set policies and resolutions around and prioritize how we're going to increase business, revitalize the downtown when it comes to business and residences and housing as well, but also, again, communicating that with you. And I've talked about my 5-point plan, how we make plans together, understand it, plan it, deliberate it, adapt and adopt it, and then build it. And that is how we make decisions and communicate them to you. What I wanted to talk about today was precisely one of those agencies. Future St. Stephen is the economic development agency of the municipality, right? So when you think about, staff working in the town office at the Garcelon Civic Center, they are responsible for a lot of the day-to-day administration of how the work gets carried out that council decides, right? But the council, quite a number of years ago, determined that an economic development agency that works exclusively for developing certain initiatives around housing and business was the best use of money, so that agency could basically spend all of its time finding development opportunities that will come to St. Stephen and help our community grow, not just in terms of infrastructure and tax base, but community wealth. When we're talking about growth, ultimately we're talking about community wealth. That's why something like supporting local, shopping local is very important. Keeping dollars in our community increases our wealth together. So how can I unpack this now? Every single month there is a council meeting. There's actually two, a committee of the whole meeting, which is coming this Wednesday. I'm eagerly awaiting for the agenda to come out so that tomorrow, likely, I can unpack that for you, Wednesday at the very latest. And then there's a regular council meeting where council votes and makes decisions on important things that are actually determined in the committee of the whole meeting. Now, when you look at the committee of the whole meeting, that is a time where a lot of department heads make their reports. And one of the department heads, because it is an agency of the municipal government, is the report of Future St. Stephen. So the director, the president of Future St. Stephen, will make a report at the committee of the whole meeting. And I've got the printouts of the last few months because I want you to understand when we talk about the municipal government providing funding, a portion of the budget goes to support the salary of the president of Future St. Stephen. Now, they also do have other funding sources, grants and things like that. and then especially for the work they carry out. But it's important for that accountability piece to be built in for the president to report, along with other department heads, to the council what they are doing. So I've got January, February, and March all printed out here. Again, there should be another one coming up. Right now, there is an interim president, David Purcell, as there has been a presidential search. But I want to give you a sense of what Future St. Stephen has been doing, the priorities, and how that benefits our municipality. And then I want to show you in real life, right here on the camera, something that came to fruition that you can see discussed going back in January. Okay, so here's just the highlights of the January report. Now, again, how do you find these things? And I talked to Jeff, the CAO, on Wednesday about how we've got to make when I'm your mayor, we got to make these documents more accessible, because right now, and I was at a dinner last night, an Easter dinner with a bunch of friends from the community and the university-aged kids of friends at that dinner. Some of them were saying like they've tried to locate some of the documents that I refer to in my videos, or even if they're doing research, and it's so hard to find on the website a very specific document. For example, like the 2026 capital plan for paving the roads. You would have to know what meeting that was discussed. Then you'd have to find that meeting on the website. Then you would have to click the agenda item like I tell you to do. And then you'd have to open that document. It's so hard to find. And in fact, sometimes when I bring things up on these videos, and I think I want to go back and refer to that. Well, if I haven't saved it on my hard drive, it's almost impossible for me to find again. So I'm thinking what we need is a list where, as these documents are released, and reports and capital plans and things like that, it would be really nice to have them listed all easily on a web page. Not excluding what is currently being done. It can be both and. So if you know how to navigate through the calendar and get to pinpoint a specific a meeting and pull the agenda and then click on the item, you can still do that, I suppose. Again, this is not a simple mechanism. Like I like the way it works. You click on it, it takes you to the video. When the video has been released, you can actually click and it brings up the section of the meeting where this particular thing was discussed. So there's a lot of good things happening, but if you, again, want to search something or find a document, it's really hard to find. So I really want to make this easier. That's part of the accountability piece and the public engagement piece. And as someone who is in the weeds on this myself, a bit of a wonk who's interested in this, I want to make it easier for everybody to pull this up. All that said, when you if you were to go to the January Committee of the Whole meeting, and click the agenda or the minutes now that it's passed, but the agenda is where you can see the reports, and then you click on the report item in the agenda, and this is where you find reports like this. Okay, so in January, Rivers Corbett was the president at that time, and I'll just give you some quick highlights that are relevant here. They talk about the hotel expectation to be developed in April or May. Remember, this is January's report. It becomes more focused in the March report. And then they talk about a developer's housing package, which has been designed by Future St. Stephen and being used to market to prospective developers to consider building in the municipal district of St. Stephen. And I talked to you how, when you talk to developers are really wondering, well, okay, is St. Stephen a really good investment right now for housing? Because ultimately St. Stephen has to be an attractive place for people to want to move to and live to, which is desperately why we need, ironically, to solve our homelessness crisis through social development and bridge housing in order to attract people to live here. It's a bit of an ironic loop there, but when we solve this, that's why to me it's going to be my number one priority, is to solve the homelessness crisis issue that involves the shelter and the lack of bridge housing. If you wonder what, Mark, this seems to be your pet project. Yes, because like I said, businesses and housing and public safety seem to be rising to the top in my conversations, but those things can't be properly addressed until the shelter activity is really mitigated and brought down, and we have bridge housing, the next step. Okay, so I'm just going to keep saying that, just so you know what I'm about. That needs to be alleviated in a lot of ways. A couple other things here: network and connecting with new business opportunities to existing businesses, and a priority to foster business expansion and growth. The facade program that is offered through the downtown revitalization, and I talked about that when Top Shelf, that was on an agenda item, which is wonderfully building their facility right there on on Milltown Boulevard, and they applied for the facade program, and they got some funding. So this is being discussed here and built out. And then the president of Future St. Stephen said they met with Jeff Renault, who is the CAO of our municipality, and Alex Henderson, the planning director at the Regional Service Commission, to review the municipal plan. And we have a municipal plan, right? I keep bringing this to your attention. It's out of reach here. There are 10 items on there, many pages. It has been passed, but now we gotta, as a council as well, and I want to work with all of these interested parties to say, okay, so they met to say, what are the top 3 priorities for Future St. Stephen to focus on, and the next council also, we want all these agencies being on the same page. That's something I would want to synergize and harmonize and say, where are we going? What are we going to accomplish in 2026, and how do we reverse engineer that? I can't make that promise outright as a mayor, but again, I'm saying to you, we need the housing situation, we need the shelter mitigated with bridge housing, and we need to focus on more public safety. That's something I want to dive into right away, and making businesses downtown feel more heard and safer, so that they can build out. Opening a business is incredible risk, but it's also an incredibly important part of our community. So that was January. Then in February, I think it was Mr. Corbett's last month, so very bare bones here, but they are talking about the hotel and dock projects in here. And then the airport consultation process is on here as well, and that's the kind of thing that I want to talk about. I believe our airport's a huge asset, but it is a property of the municipality, and if the municipality starts developing that out, then property taxes go up, right? So that's always that thing where you're balancing development, putting money into something, but do we want property taxes going up as a result of developing the airport, or are there other solutions, ways that we can build things in, find grants, because I really would like to see that upgraded. There's lots of possibility there. Now, this is a much more detailed report from Mr. Purcell, the interim president, and here he talks about the hotel project more specifically. Again, shovels should be in the ground starting in April. There have been some artist renderings that are out for release that we can be expecting, but then he talks about housing project here. And developing housing is a real initiative of Future St. Stephen. Reached out to and targeted regional developers, and then there's a list here. So this is really exciting. You know, Rising Tides, 10X Properties, Keyline Properties. Interesting, Rising Tides is an affordable housing builder. So that's the kind of thing where, as I said, as a mayor, I can say I want our council to prioritize this because our municipality wants this prioritized. But then it is Future St. Stephen that really can carry out the weight of that, put in the time, the work, and the effort to literally be calling all these developers and giving them the package that was developed back here in January. And David did send that to me, and I got to look at it because it's basically a package of how great St. Stephen is, specific properties, specific opportunities, regulations, things that the municipality can do to incentivize, that kind of thing, because you want developers to look at that and say, wow, this is a place, this is a community that I can invest in. So there's a list of properties here that the president has been calling, follow-up call schedule with 10X Properties, follow-up call schedule with Rising Tides, and then collaborated with Alex Henderson, the, again, planning director at the Regional Service Commission, to expand information in the developers package, making that even better. And so this is what I wanted to just bring to you today. Is there's other items on here, and I'm scanning through and saying they're kind of off topic. It's all good stuff, meeting with the CAO to make sure that they're on the same page. You're just seeing now this effort. And I asked David, what would you like to see? And he said, I'd like to see more collaboration between the downtown, the municipality, Future St. Stephen, all the business powers that be, in order to agree on where we're going. And that is something that in leadership I know is incredibly important, and it hasn't been the status quo, but it will be with me serving as your mayor moving forward. Now, they also talked about this in the meetings, this handout, this brochure that was developed to go out in everyone's utility bill. And so here is the result of that. Now, if you get a water bill, then you have seen exactly this very brochure. And this is a good spot to kind of springboard off of today, because I want to talk about each of these. There's 4, you could say, entities that are concentrating on growth and development. So you have the municipality, of course, your council, your administration. Then you have downtown St. Stephen, the BIA, which I have lots to say about that. They had a great info session last week, and I want to explain to you what downtown St. Stephen does in the BIA. The Chamber of Commerce, business owners, I am a member of that because I have a business, and that is an agency that does a lot of good things in our community, and I'd love to explain that. And then, of course, Future St. Stephen, which is the Economic Development Agency. And so every single page of this brochure has information on this. This was put together as a Future St. Stephen project, but in collaboration with each of those agencies. And here's what they say on the back. So if you haven't seen this, this is for you. Who they represent. Future St. Stephen represents the municipality with a focus on growth for residents and businesses. It is governed how? Governed by the volunteer board of community members and supported by one paid president position. That is the single salary for Future St. Stephen. That person, as I said, makes it their full-time job to find economic development opportunities. How is it funded? It's funded by municipal contributions and grants. Now, what do they do? 4 bullet points. They facilitate housing development, which is why we want to lean on them, support them, and count on them to build this out. Support newcomer retention and inclusive community growth. So this is how we attract more people to move to St. Stephen. And I've talked about how important that is and why, because of the tax base. And when we talk about infrastructure that's aging, we need more people to share the load to replace the costs on that. So our property taxes, those of us who are here, we don't want our property taxes going up and supporting all of that on our own. Next is expand the municipality's business park and infrastructure. And fourth is promote small business growth and tourism strategies. So that is literally what Future St. Stephen does day in, day out, day after day. That is their mandate, and that is who is working on this for you. And council needs to be thinking always about these things, prioritizing, guiding the work of Future St. Stephen with your input as residents, so we are working together and growing together. I'll bring more information over the next few days about the Chamber and the BIA and how these things are all working together to make our community a better place. But of course, we're also waiting for an agenda drop for this Wednesday, where I'll also explain to you, because this is what I want to do as mayor, what is going to come up in those meetings. This video is long enough. Have a wonderful day. BuildUpStStephen.ca is my website. Take care of yourself and your neighbor. And I'm so happy to build up St. Stephen with you. Cheers. We'll see you tomorrow.